What's going on, everybody? Hope you're having an amazing day. My name is Anomaly. If you would like, you can follow me on Instagram at Dream Rare. You can follow me on Twitter at Legendary Energy. You can check out my website, my poetry, my music, and all of my news analysis at legendary.vision. That's my website, legendary.vision. And stay tuned for 5-10 more seconds. I'm going to let people get into the live stream. And then I'm going to talk about the breaking news that has the social media and Twitter exploding. I would love to relax, go in nature, enjoy my life. I'm going to do just that soon. I'm sick of the negativity, the hate, and the division. I don't really even want to be here, to be honest, but I feel like it is somewhat my moral responsibility to weigh in on stuff like this, especially when it has my friends, my family, and my country, very polarized and very torn. So, I'm not doing this because I even want to. Honestly, I'm doing it because I feel like I have to. So all I ask, regardless of what side of the debate you're on, what your political preference is, what your race, religion, or gender, or any sort of fantasy imaginary group that we've, thrusted upon ourselves to divide ourselves, all I ask is that you consider. Before I start, once again, just consider what I'm saying. Don't throw projections on me. Don't throw assumptions and labels onto me. I don't want them, need them, and I don't deserve them. Please, all I ask is please just consider what I'm saying. That's it. Don't have to believe it. Don't have to agree with it. Don't have to hurl insults at me. Just consider what I'm saying. So, President Trump, the big news is that he said that the alt-left and both sides are to blame and nobody wants to say anything about it. Before I weigh in on that, I want to say I have zero tolerance for somebody that considers themselves a white supremacist or a Nazi, a neo-Nazi, any form of Nazism. That's disgusting. As far as I know, via history and via life, the Nazis, killed a bunch of innocent people, killed Jewish people, killed other races, religions, and genders, and tried to make a supremacist movement of a master race, which didn't include me, didn't include my Puerto Rican family, didn't include my Mexican family, didn't include my Caribbean family, didn't include my eye color. So I have zero tolerance for Nazis because as far as I know, a literal Nazi or a neo-Nazi wouldn't want me to exist because I'm multicultural and, have family from all over. So I have zero tolerance for Nazis. Let's get this straight. I have zero tolerance for white supremacists. I think it is disgusting. I think it is ignorant, I think it is arrogant, and I think it is downright unacceptable in 2017 to believe that you are supreme because of your race. I think it's unacceptable, I think it's ignorant, I think it's disgusting, I think it's pathetic, and I think it's cowardly, I think it's weak, I think it's all of these things. If you think you're better than someone else or you have certain rights because of your skin color. So, hold on one second. Just gonna turn my air conditioning off so it didn't get loud. So before I get hurled all these insults at, I have zero tolerance for white supremacy. I have zero tolerance for neo-Nazis. I think they're disgusting. I think they're pathetic. And most likely, depending how much sun I get and who they think of me, they don't even want me to exist. With that being said, I think we should be allowed to multitask, because if we let the media choose one story and one narrative for us, this is how we get to the point that we're currently at. Hear me out. Just because I hate and condemn white supremacy and neo-Nazis, it doesn't mean all of a sudden now nobody else is guilty of anything and every single person in the world is a victim. That's a ridiculous mentality to have. That's like saying, okay, so white supremacy and neo-Nazis, I hate them, I don't like them, they're disgusting, they're negative, but now ISIS is innocent and Antifa is innocent and no other crimes have ever been committed, nobody else in America is wrong, there's no other problems here, that's the only problem and everything else would be rainbows and butterflies. It's simply not true. No politicians are accountable. Now politicians get away scot-free, and our government, for the past 40 years, all of this stuff and the crimes that they've committed in other countries and to our own people, they're not to blame anymore. They get away scot-free. This is what I'm confused about the backlash of what he said. What he said is not politically correct. But people are sick from all sides. They're sick of political correctness, because what political correctness is saying what everybody wants to hear, but it's not necessarily the truth. And the truth is, Antifa is a massive problem. They don't just go to neo-Nazi and white supremacy events. If Antifa only went to white supremacy and neo-Nazi events, I would care less about it. Okay, you two go fight in the corner, and we'll see what happens. People will hold each other accountable. But Antifa goes to Ben Shapiro rallies. Ben Shapiro is a Jewish person who has nothing to do with Nazism because he's Jewish. He's actually the #1 target of anti-Semitic and neo-Nazi hate in the United States. And they protest him and call him a Nazi and a white supremacist. Antifa has gone to Milo Yiannopoulos, who is a gay, Jewish, British entertainer who brags about only exclusively dating black men. This is just the reality. And Antifa goes there, starts hate, starts violence, and tries to shut down free speech. So I'm trying to double task here. The alt-right, the neo-Nazis, the white supremacists, and whoever falls into that very ignorant categories, they're 100% absolutely a huge problem. And I think in that regards, it's important to address that now. I mean, I think there are some people who are discreetly also being racist. They might not say it, but they have racist thoughts. And speak up. If you think you're supreme, or you think you're better than everybody else, or you're a Nazi, now's the time to say it, because speak loud and clear. Show your face. Don't hide. You need to be held accountable for your ignorant thoughts. But to then say that if that's the alt-right, there is absolutely 110% a quote-unquote alt-left. I hate using titles, by the way. I hate talking about race. I think it's ignorant in itself. I do this for the point of videos and because it's such a polarizing topic, but I don't think the president is wrong in this regards to say that the alt-right left is a problem too, if we're going to group people for this specific point, because let's look at what the quote-unquote alt-left is doing. If you combine Antifa, who is literally just calling everybody a Nazi and everybody a white supremacist, it would be foolish and dishonest of me to say, oh, no, they're not a problem at all. They didn't start anything. They've never done anything. They totally have. They've, for months, been punching people, smashing people in the face with bike locks, and good people. People that I've seen speak, like Ben Shapiro, who doesn't have a racist bone in his body, doesn't have a Nazi bone in his body. He's literally Jewish. The Nazis don't like him. If you read history and pay attention to reality, the #1 target, he's getting protests by Antifa. They're screaming, blowing air horns, physically harming people, punching people at his events. They're a huge problem. I don't understand why it's so polarizing and why it's so controversial to just multitask and tell the truth. I mean, I don't know who it was, if it was George Orwell, who said, in a time of universal deceit, the truth is a revolutionary act. And it's sad that all of these science fiction horror novels are coming true, because that's exactly what's happening now. I'm not doing anything revolutionary. I'm not doing anything that anyone else can't really do. I'm just telling the truth. And for some reason, that's a revolutionary act, because everybody's so emotional, everybody's so polarized, everybody wants to pick a side, and it's ridiculous. So I don't understand why the President of the United States, who condemned white supremacy as I do, neo-Nazis are awful. White supremacy is a problem, but the alt-left, 110%, is a problem as well. Now let's move on to a subject that I've never talked about, because I think it's 100% just a messy subject, which is Black Lives Matter. I support the notion that Black Lives Matter. I've supported the group, the fact that, okay, yes, absolutely, Black Lives Matter, but do you care about Black lives? And the alt-left, what they've shown me after silently watching for the past 3 years, is that they only care when a cop or a white person kills a black person. And I'm not saying that to be mean, I'm not saying that to be judgmental, that's just what has been going on. So to say that's not a growing problem, that's not politically correct to talk about, it's just 100% untrue because they kill 6 cops. Jimmy Fallon says nothing. People don't say anything. It's okay. But meanwhile, 8 people die in Chicago. Silence. There's people getting kidnapped in other countries. There's black people all over the world still literally getting enslaved, getting killed by the tens of hundreds of thousands. There's other countries where we need to figure out what's going on, but Black Lives Matter never addresses that. So what does that show me? You know, a very kind, compassionate person that cares about every life, that cares about every religion, race, and gender. That shows me that it's not a group that has been trying to save black lives per se. It's a group that is breeding a lot of hate, division, and negativity. And I'm not here to compare. This is not a comparison of me who I think is worth. I'm just saying it's not a radical, ridiculous idea to say, okay, white supremacy and neo-Nazis are disgusting. White supremacists and neo-Nazis wouldn't like me. They wouldn't like my family. They wouldn't allow me to survive. They're disgusting. They're ignorant. I've said it 10,000 times. There's no part of me that thinks otherwise. But to then say that nobody else in the world is responsible for anything and that there's not a growing problem with Antifa and Black Lives Matter, that would just be dishonest. It might be politically correct. It might get you a lot of retweets. It might get you a lot of friends. It might get you a lot of praise on social media, but it's still not the truth. And I'm telling people, like I said, not because I want to. I dislike this strongly. I don't even want to be here. I'm telling you because these problems are not going to go away if we don't tell the truth about them. If we keep lying, that's how we got there. And that's a huge reason that President Trump won in the first place, is because people are sick of the political correctness. They're sick of the fact that you could say white supremacies and neo-Nazis are disgusting and terrible, which they 110% are. And I'm not even remotely mad about seeing that stuff. I'm like, good, okay, yes, let's talk about it. That's fine. I agree 110% with that. I'm not defending or debating that. I've actually condemned it 20,000 times the past week just to make sure people know where I stand. But then when, 100 people die on the other side, no one can say anything. That's a large reason why the President of the United States literally won. It's because people are sick of the fact that if one person dies over here, it's a news story for 10,000 weeks, but 15,000 people die on the other side, and Antifa kills somebody or does this, and Black Lives Matter kills 6 people, and other hate groups do this, and ISIS kills people, and Al-Qaeda kills people, and the US government kills people, and no one cares. I'm not trying to get people away scot-free, but what I'm saying is this is why there's a growing surgence of rebellion. It's not because everybody's racist. There are some people that are racist. There's different levels of racism and ignorance and hate, and it all should totally be addressed, and we should work on solving it. But what I'm saying is what we're doing is only going to make it worse, because President Trump says something that shouldn't be a revolutionary statement, that both sides are responsible, which is 100% true, and everybody freaks out. So what do you think that's going to do to people in the center and people who are sick of the political correctness? This is why he won in the first place. I called it 6 and 7 months before it happened, and I didn't even vote for him. I just can tell what's going to happen. I saw the writing on the wall. And it's been happening in every phase of life. Let's take away alt-left and alt-right. Ignorant people. I get it. I'm not debating which one's worse and which one's better. I'm just saying I'm multitasking. I think they're all ignorant. I think they're all divisive. I think they're all hateful. I think they're all counterproductive. I know how to solve these problems, and it's not how any of these groups are acting. And I don't think it should be a revolutionary or controversial thought to say that, because it's 100% true. And on to the political correctness, this is another reason that he won, and people need to understand, because following the media narrative, the media that lied about Russia, the media that lied about the war in Iraq, the media that lied about the war in Syria, the media that's been lying for 20 and 30 years about everything, they're telling you essentially how to act, and they know how to socially engineer and manipulate people. But back to what I was saying is, people are sick of the political correctness, and the opposite is being addressed. Okay, for me, not that much really bothers me when it comes to labels and this and that and people mad. I personally don't care. I'm pretty strong. I get a little sensitive and upset sometimes, but on the whole, I'm pretty, confident. My self-esteem is good. I'm happy. I'm not even remotely depressed, this and that. So I'm working on helping other people, because I'm fine. Nothing bothers me, the hate, the negativity, whatever. But when it comes to the fact that we've painted such a politically correct society where the straight white male is evil and anybody else is innocent, and that's not me saying that's true. That's not me caring. That's not me being offended or trying to compare sides. But what I'm saying is we've created a culture that if you're trans, if you're a woman, if you're a lesbian, if you're a different ethnicity and race, nothing else matters. You're 100% automatically, your thoughts matter more. And if you're a straight white male or a white woman, you're negative, you're the oppressor, you're this, you're that. That is a underlying tone that is being used, and it's deterring a lot of people from coming together. And that's a large reason that President Trump won. I think everybody should be held accountable for their actions, but there's a thing where it's like a terror attack happens and nobody cares. Nobody wants to talk about it. If there's a crime and it comes from somebody who's considered a quote-unquote minority group, nobody cares. The news doesn't cover it. It doesn't matter how many people die, 5, 10, 20, 30. If a woman did it, doesn't matter. This is no way that we should act. We should be judging people by the character, by what they're doing, by what they're putting out. We're having the left going too far, and I say this as a social activist myself. I have been making songs about the prison complex. I've been talking about the injustices in the prison system. I've written 10-page papers on the prison industrial complex and how it's ridiculously wrong and has been historically racist. I've done this. I'm a social activist myself. That is a passion of mine. But what I've seen over the last year or two is the left go too far left. And now it's becoming the oppressor. It's just happening. I'm not saying this because I want to. It's not something I even want to talk about. It's just reality. And if the left keeps going left, and trying to justify one small ignorant group to silence free speech and to victimize everybody and to tell everybody that they're being oppressed, it's simply not true. Is there a power faction in place that is controlling everybody and that is supreme and that is negative and ignorant? 110%. But I could tell you from experience, from life, that I've worked at multiple companies, and there's something inherent in human nature, and that is power tripping. When you have power, it happens everywhere. It happens to every race, religion, and gender. I've seen it. I've been abused. I've been mistreated by all races, all religions, and all genders at work. It's not because I'm mad at their race. I don't call them supremacists. I don't, let it make me hate people that look like them or that think like them or that pray like them. What it does is make me realize, oh wow, anytime somebody gets a certain power or authority over someone else, if they have an ego or they have too much pride, or maybe it just happens naturally in humanity, they get a power trip. So the fact that we're dividing this power trip mentality that is happens everywhere, it happens at every company, every McDonald's, every post office, anywhere that people have power over others, they're the manager, they're this, you're going to see a power-hungry mentality. It's just facts. It happens. And if we talk about that in America and we only blame one race and one gender, and no matter what you do, if you're trans, you're right no matter what you say, it's just a little ridiculous. And like I said, I can really care less. Nobody's bothering me. I don't care that I'm a white male. You could say this and that I have this and that. I don't care. You could say whatever you want. I just don't care because I'm focused on helping people. I'm focused on bringing people together. I'm focused on using my life to heal and have fun and, enjoy all of my friends and all of my family. But there are millions of people who are sick and tired of the political correctness where an event like Charlottesville happens and it's covered on the news for 10,000 weeks, but 10,000 people die on the other side. and nobody cares. And I totally think these sides are 100% manufactured and made up. I don't even like labels. I don't think there's sides. I think there's ignorant people everywhere. I think there's hate everywhere. There's division everywhere. I think we should be tackling that, because if we keep subdividing these groups and acting like madmen, when somebody makes a statement that is accurate but politically incorrect, this is how we get to this point. This is how we get wars starting in the Middle East that nobody cares about, because it's just not politically correct to say. It's not politically correct to hint that our government or these people are doing this thing. It's just don't talk about it. Don't talk about politics. Don't talk about Antifa. Don't talk about these groups. I know you're right. I know you're right, but just don't talk about it. That's how you get President Donald Trump. And I'm just telling you from reality. I didn't vote for him. I didn't wish this on America, but this is why you got him, because of the growing inaccuracies and political correctness. 6 cops get shot. Jimmy Fallon doesn't care. Chelsea Handler doesn't care. The media doesn't care. They don't blame the whole group. And that's fine, because I don't even like the news harping on negativity. So I'm not saying they should, but when this happens, they blame everybody, call everybody white supremacists, call everybody Nazis, and then wonder why the blowback gets stronger and stronger and stronger. I mean, how is this not common sense? When somebody from Antifa or Black Lives Matter either kills somebody or starts violence, they don't talk about it, and if they do, it's the individual. It's not Black Lives Matter's fault. Or they group it in, or a right-wing source groups it in, and they do the same ignorant thing. But that's fine. Hold that individual accountable. Or hold the ideology accountable if that whole ideology is the same. Figure it out. But the inaccuracies, then when this happens, not only do they blame all white supremacists and neo-Nazis, which to me, that's fine. I mean, if you're going to blame a whole group, blame them. But what the news is doing, what the media is doing, and I mean the protests outside of the tower yesterday, not only are they blaming those two groups, so you have an incident that happens on the other side, at best they blame the whole group, at worst, they don't even talk about it, they don't even blame the person. And when it happens on this side, not only do they blame those two groups, which is fine, go ahead, but they blame everybody. So look at the inaccuracies, look at the difference. Something happens from an individual group of 500 or 1,000 or however many people are in that random group or affiliation, and they not only blame those people, but then they broaden the scope to blame 65 million people. Now they're blaming everybody. They're protesting outside Trump Tower. It's ridiculous. I saw a tweet yesterday from a black American who said Obama invited Black Lives Matter to the White House. And that's fine. I don't care. I'm not here to compare. I don't care. I've never cared. I'm just saying, because everyone's losing their mind, Obama invited Black Lives Matter to the White House after there was a cop killing of 6 people, 6 innocent cops. They're not cops that did something. They're random cops that they're taking their anger out on, and nobody cares. And this happens. The President of the United States condemns hate, condemns negativity, literally condemns neo-Nazism, white supremacy, and all of these disgusting, ignorant people, but that's not enough. Now, they're calling him that. I mean, that's why the blowback is going to get bigger and bigger. That's why I'm making this broadcast. I don't even want to talk about this stuff because, like I said before, the truth is now a revolutionary act. It shouldn't be. It should be very easy. These people are ignorant. These people are hateful. These people are racist. Condemn them. Hold them responsible. These people are hateful. These people are negative. Some of these people are racist. Hold these people accountable. Why is it so hard to multitask? There's a lot of ignorance to go around, and it's in every race, religion, and gender. And if you don't think there's hate and ignorance in every single race, religion, and gender, then it sounds to me like you're a supremacist of some sorts, and you're singling out a certain race, religion, or gender. And that's where the modern day left has evolved and why I want no part in it. I'm not right, but I'm certainly not left anymore, because look what they're doing. The feminists hate men. How are you a feminist looking for equality of genders if you hate men? Are you not exactly what you're trying to stop? If you're an Antifa member and you're anti-fascism, but you're punching everybody in the face and calling everybody white supremacists, everybody neo-Nazis, and you're going to stop Ben Shapiro and Milo Yiannopoulos, even though they're Jewish, they're not neo-Nazis hate them. Are you not the fascist that you're trying to stop? If you're Black Lives Matter and you care about Black lives and you want to save Black lives, but you don't care about any Black lives, unless it's from a cop or a white person, do you care about Black lives? Do you care about people? Are you trying to stop racism, or are you fueling racism? And this is why the left is totally a problem. I have no problem calling out the right, the racism, the hatred. I've called it out for my whole life. I never would watch Fox News. I've called out Sean Hannity. I've made songs about everything. It's out there. You can't pin me down because my work is out there and it's dated since 2009, 2010, 2011. It's there. I have no problem calling out the racism and the ignorance in the right. But the fact that President Trump can't even talk about the ignorance in the left, some of the biggest hypocrites in the United States and America, some of the biggest groups of hate, division, and negativity, without getting this type of blowback, you're calling for pure anarchy, you're calling for pure madness, you're calling for no freedom of speech. And it's not the little group of loser white supremacists who march. Yes, they should be held accountable, but no, we should not let a small incident like this make us lose our minds, make us lose our rationality, make us, completely ruin everything for everybody. Just because of a small group, it's not what happens. Classic quote, it's your reaction to the situation. Our reaction should be swift and firm and taking care of the root of the problem. Our reaction should not be a mass freak out and a mass meltdown of an entire nation. That's on us. That's on me. That's on you. That's on everybody. Because the precedents we're setting are very dangerous. If you're going to tear down that statue, me personally, I can care less. I don't really care. Just leave me alone. And I could care less if you tear down 200 statues. Just leave me alone. That's all I ask. But if you're going to tear down that statue, think of the precedents that's setting. There's multiple Lenin statues. Mass murder of the 1900s. Are we going to tear all those down? Are we just going to tear down our whole society? Because, there's hundreds of statues that implicate things that have happened in the past that we would never do again, that implicate racism and sexism and communism and socialism. There's statues all over. Are we going to just tear down everything? I'm not comparing. I'm just saying these are dangerous precedents to set. And if you can't even say that you condemn ignorance on this side and hate on this side and racism on this side, but also condemn ignorance on this side, racism on this side, and hate on this side, we have a real problem on our hands, and it's not going to go away. It's not going to go away no matter how many times Chelsea Handler tweets. It's not going to go away no matter how many times Sarah Silverman tweets, or J.K. Rowling tweets, or Lord tweets, or, everybody melts down into this mass panic. It's just not. That's why I'm making this video, because I know it's not going to go away, and I've seen the writings on the wall. I've seen this building up. That's why I've been making videos all year to try to bring people together, to try to lower the hate, to lower the division, and lower the negativity. Because I'll tell you what, the media, regardless of how you feel about the left or the right and all of this hate and all of this negativity that should be addressed, the media's job is not to uplift you. The media's job is not to inspire you. The media, have you ever seen the media educate you? Have you ever seen the news channels and, mainstream media, have you seen them uplift you? Have you ever seen them inspire you? Have you ever seen them show positive stories of multiracial and multi-religious people enjoying having babies, having fun, going to the beach? Have you ever seen them try to bring people together? Have you ever seen them try to really stop the hate and address the root causes? Have you ever seen them try to stop the wars? That's what I thought. They never have, because the mainstream media is not in the business of uniting a nation. The mainstream media is not in the business of healing people, uplifting people, educating people, inspiring people. With the television, talk about education in the schooling system. If we had real good people, good men and women on TV, we wouldn't even need school. We could educate ourselves via the internet and the television, but we don't do that because they're not in the business of that. They might snatch your emotions. They might snatch you up based on your race, religion, gender, political preference, or lack thereof. They might snatch up your emotions, but they are doing it to cause more hate, to cause more division, to cause more fear, to cause more war. That's just the reality. Most of the media, it's not a secret, is owned by the same corporations, and they keep consolidating and consolidating and consolidating and consolidating. In the 1980s, in the 60s and 70s, Malcolm X warned about this. Jim Morrison talked about this. George Orwell talked about this. People of all races, religions, and genders spoke about this. The media was framing everything. And back then, there were like 30 or 40 companies. And then, in the 90s, 6 companies. And now, they're consolidating and consolidating and consolidating and consolidating. It's one giant system of control. Regardless of how you feel about certain events, that's just what it is. And the internet has been an amazing, amazing beacon of light and inspiration and education and wisdom. We've made a lot of progress. It's the greatest time to be alive ever. When you step outside of that portal of hate, there are 5,000 to 10,000 gun deaths a year in the United States. Millions of people die every year. We can't lose our minds over every ignorant person. Just in the county over, there were 3 road rage incidents in which both people got out the car and one person shot and killed the other person over nothing. Who knows what race or religion they were? Because the news doesn't care. We can't have a meltdown and let a group of ignorant people destroy everything we have, all the progress that we've worked so hard for over the last 100 years. I'm not going to let any group on the left or the right take that away from me, take that away from you, take that away from your family, my family. We're not letting that happen. Tune out of the news. Tune out of social media. Because that's all that's happening right now. It's a massive hate fest, and people don't want to be truthful. People don't want to be uplifting. People don't want to be honest. People want to be stubborn. People want to be emotional. People want to create sides and not look at both sides and say, oh, no, it's all that. But there's nothing in the world that is one person to blame. It's not even the politician's fault. It's our fault. It's a collective effort of humanity. That's what changes the world. If 200 million people in the United States stop buying bad food and stop buying bad media and stop listening to the bad, information, they won't feed it to us anymore. We change the world. It's not Donald Trump. It's not the mainstream media. We are the change. Don't let them fool you. Don't let them create a massive, smoke screen to make you think that you're always right, or you're always wrong, or that you're the best and you're supreme, or that you're negative and you're nothing. Don't let them create that narrative for you, because it's simply not true. We all are accountable. We all have to change. We all have to do something. It's not just one small ignorant group on the right or on the left. It's all of us. But if we're only going to address one small ignorant group and ignore all the other ignorance and hate and violence and death, it's only going to get worse. And I say this with 100% conviction, because that's what's going to happen. So I pray and I ask the Chelsea Handlers, the CNNs, the MSNBCs, the George Soroses, the people on Twitter, all of my friends, all of my families, to consider what I just said. Just consider it, because if you don't consider it, there's a large chance that what I'm saying is already happening. What I'm saying is going to happen anyway. So even if you don't believe me, even if you write everything I just said off, even if you want to say, oh no, you're wrong, it's not both sides, it's all white supremacists and they're 100% to blame for everything in the world, what I'm saying is most likely going to play out anyway. So you're not going to save yourself from the crazy white supremacists. You're going to embolden that group and make them stronger. You're not going to free yourself from the shackles of American slavery. You're going to run into the hands of the biggest oppressors of the 21st century. You're not going to sidestep racism and sexism and hatred and violence and emerge into this free society without Donald Trump. You're going to make it worse. You're fueling sexism. You're fueling racism. You're fueling hate. You're fueling ignorance. And you're emboldening people that shouldn't be emboldened in the 21st century. And I pray that people just consider what I'm saying. Consider, please, because there's a large chance that it's all happening anyway, and it's going to happen whether you consider or not. That's all I ask. Thank you so much. All sides need to calm down, have rational discussions, talk to each other, and realize that ignorance is everywhere, hate is everywhere, but we collectively can stamp out the supremacists, stamp out the negativity and the violent oppressors on all sides, and we don't need to run around the country like children, fighting, ripping things down, yelling, screaming, tweeting, dividing ourselves in these imaginary groups that nobody is forcing upon us. We're making it all up. The news is making it all up. I already see it. People shifting sides, and just off Twitter and just off what the news is saying. Just because the president addressed multiple issues at once. He's the president. He's going to talk about war and Syria at some point and a million other things because that's what they do. It's not new. It's not different. It's not irrational. What's new, different, and irrational, besides the fact that he's not politically correct, aka starting wars and smiling, and working with pharmacy companies and smiling, and working with food poisoning companies and smiling, and working with the media and smiling, the difference is the media's reaction to it, because they're not working with the president. So their agenda is not to uplift you, it's not to educate you and to save you. Their agenda is to get themselves back into power. It's just what it is. Thank you for listening. I pray, looking at everything happening, and this prayer goes out to all religions. This prayer goes out to all genders, all races, everybody. I pray that you consider what I'm saying. Just consider it, because it's going to be very necessary in a climate where the media and a lot of politicians have billions of dollars invested in destroying our country. They've destroyed multiple countries. Don't think they're not going to do it here. They've destroyed multiple countries in the Middle East. They've had overthrows in Ukraine and Iran. This is the reality we live in. Don't think for 1 second that there's people not plotting to destroy our entire country, to destroy your home, to destroy your freedoms, to destroy your life and your family. They've done it in other places. They've done it here. It's going to happen. So just consider what I'm saying, because it's going to be 100% necessary if we want to avoid ridiculous chaos. Thank you so much. I'm going to put my links below, but more importantly, just consider. And most importantly, have a good day. Show people in the world that humanity's not gone. Show people, do something nice, be friendly. Do something to remind people that we're all humans, that it's all love, and that we're going to get through this in our cities, our towns, and our communities. Thank you guys so much. God bless you. God bless your family.